Welcome back to the Virtual CISO. If you're new here, my name is Olivia and I am your host. Over the last few episodes, we've talked about trust, we talked about identity, we've talked about how modern security is increasingly being shaped by who or what has access. Today, I want to talk about something that I believe is becoming one of the fastest growing enterprise risks. And the most interesting part is most organizations don't even realize it's happening. It is AI adoption. Because the reality is, many executives believe they are currently implementing AI. Many security leaders believe they are evaluating AI. Many governance teams believe they are building AI policies. But meanwhile, employees are already using it every day. And that's where the problem starts. Because most organizations don't have an AI strategy, they have AI activity. And those are very different things. The question isn't whether AI is entering your organization. It's already there. The question is whether you're seeing it and whether you can understand the risk that comes with it. A few years ago, we constantly talked about shadow IT. Employees signing up for cloud services. They were using tools outside of approved processes. Moving faster than governance. Employees are uploading documents, pasting code, sharing contracts, summarizing customer information, generating reports, analyzing spreadsheets, creating permissions. Sometimes we approve tools and often without them. And most of the time, they're doing it with good intentions. They're trying to work faster. They're trying to be more productive. They're trying to solve business problems. The issue isn't malicious behavior. It is invisible behavior. Because when security teams don't know what AI tools are being used, they lose visibility into where data is going. And once visibility disappears, governance becomes almost impossible. Honestly, I think many organizations are dramatically underestimating the scale of shadow AI because employees don't think they're introducing risk. They think they're improving efficiency, and that's what makes this challenge so difficult. But shadow AI is only the beginning. The bigger concern is what happens to enterprise data once it enters these systems. Let's talk about data because ultimately, AI risk is often data risk. And this is where conversations start becoming uncomfortable. Imagine an employee pays source code, customer information, financial projections, legal documents, acquisition plans, or even security procedures into an AI platform. What happens next? Do they know? Does the organization know? Can security answer that question confidently? In many cases, the answer is no. And that's concerning because AI introduces entirely new pathways for information exposure, prompt exposure, training concerns, data retention questions, even third-party processing risk, as well as cross-border data movement, vendor access concerns, and that's what makes this particularly challenging, is that many of these risks don't feel like traditional security incidents. Nothing is hacked, nothing is breached, no alarm goes off. Yet, sensitive information may still leave controlled environment. And by the time the organization realizes it happened, the visibility is often gone. That's why I think AI governance discussion needs to start with data governance. And not tooling, models, or data. Because once you lose control of information flows, everything else becomes even much harder. And that brings us to what I think is the most overlooked part of AI security right now. One thing I see repeatedly is organizations applying traditional vendor assessment approaches to AI providers. And while some of those controls still matter, AI introduces entirely new questions. Where is the data processed? Where is it stored? Who can access it? How long is it retained? Can prompts be reviewed? Can outputs be audited? What model is actually being used? How often does it change? What happens if provider changes training practices? These aren't traditional vendor risk questions, they're governance questions, and many procurement processes haven't even caught up. The challenge becomes even greater when organizations start integrating AI directly into their workflows. For example, CRM platforms, HR systems, knowledge repositories, development pipeline, customer support tools. Now, you're no longer evaluating standalone AI tool, you're evaluating an AI-powered business process. And that requires a very different level of scrutiny. So, if AI adoption is accelerating faster than governance, what should leadership team actually be doing? I think organizations need to stop treating AI governance as a future problem. It is a current problem. And the organizations getting this right aren't necessarily the ones moving the slowest. They're the ones moving with structure. They have clear ownership. They have defined approval processes. They have AI vendor review procedures. They understand data classification requirements. They are building AI risk committees. They are involving security, legal, privacy, compliance, and business stakeholders early. Most importantly, they're recognizing that AI governance is not primarily a technology problem. It's a trust problem because every AI decision eventually comes back to trust. Can we trust the output? Can we trust the model? Can we trust the controls? Can we trust how information is being handled? And if the answer isn't clear, neither is the risk, which is why governance has to become part of the architecture from the beginning, not something bolted on later. I think the biggest mistakes organizations can make right now is assuming that AI is a future concern. It is not. The future concern is unmanaged AI at enterprise scale, and we are already moving in that direction. The organizations that succeed over the next few years won't be the ones that slow innovation. They will be the ones that make innovation trustworthy, because ultimately, trust is what turns experimentation into transformation, and governance is what makes trust possible. This has been the Virtual CISO. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you follow us and share with someone who might find it valuable. As always, I would love to hear your perspective. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, where I'll be sharing additional thoughts and continuing the conversation. Because security isn't just about protecting systems, it's about creating confidence. I will see you in the next episode. My name is Olivia, and I am your host.